Well, hello everyone, and welcome here to Davison Hall. We are live every Tuesday from 12 to 1, heard back on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com every Tuesday night from 5:30 to 6:30. We've got Keith Dickson here, head coach of the men's basketball team. We'll talk with senior forward Dominic Borelli in just a few minutes. Second half hour, women's hockey with head coach Kerstin Matthews and a couple of players. Senior defenseman Andi Foss, one of my favorite to watch. And how about the rookie of the week in the conference as well, Alison Quinn, who has had quite the season as a freshman. And at the end of the show, as we always do, we'll recap the week that was and preview the upcoming week. Men's basketball, the topic, a tough, gritty win at home a week ago, a 99-90 final over a tough St. Michael's team, and then a heartbreaker on the road, final score 77-73 against one of the better teams in the Northeast 10 Conference, Franklin Pierce. So 1-1 on the week, Coach. Talk about a little bit off air. Two very tough opponents in the month of December. How'd they fare against two of the better teams in the league?
Yeah, Nikki, we knew it was going to be a tough week. St. Michael's is very much improved, and that was a really big game for them coming down to Stoutenburg and playing us. So we knew we had our hands full with them, and then going on the road against Pierce, who I think is, they won the regional last year, so they're arguably the best team in the region still. That was going to be a hard road. So two tough games. We got one, and we're not fortunate enough to pull out the one at Pierce. But, we knew it was going to be a tough week. It would have been good to get both of the victories, but we just didn't do it.
Let's start with St. Michael's. You talked about it. That's a team that you think now is going to hang around. It's their turn, so to speak, a junior-related club that just wouldn't go away. Does it say anything about your club finding a way to win, finding a way to fend them off Tuesday night?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've made some comments in the last couple of weeks. It's like the opponents want to win too, and the opponents are good. And they remind me a little bit of where we were last year. They have the whole team back, and kids that have played together for 2 consecutive years. And not won a lot of games, but they've lost a lot of close games. But they've got experience. They understand the league. They play the right way. And I knew they think it's their turn. I think they were 7-1 coming in, or 6-1 or something like that. So it was a big game for them to come into Stoutenburg and see if they could take care of us. And we were fortunate enough to hold them off. I thought we played great for probably about 30 minutes, and then they made a run and we held them off. We really did a great job in the last 2.5 minutes to make the plays to win. But that's what happens in this league. You go through a period sometimes when your team is young, and you might, get beat up a little bit. And then when your team is old, is usually when you should start reaping the benefits. And I think St. Michael's is at that point right now. I'd be very surprised if they went away. I think they're going to be one of the better teams on our side of the league for the rest of the season. They're good.
Keith Dickson, men's basketball coach, joining us here on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show following a 1-1 week, a win, of course, over the Purple Knights, and then tough loss on the road at Franklin Pierce. What were some of the things you liked? You said you played well for 30 minutes in the game against St. Mike's. What was it specifically that you liked, that you saw?
Well, our offensive production has actually just been through the roof, So we put up 99 against St. Michael's, who's one of the better defensive teams in the league. I was shocked that the game was actually that high. But we were in such rhythm on offense. I mean, I think we had them by 18 in the first half. And up until right at the end of the half, did a terrific job defensively. So I thought it was all sort of clicking. And then we ran into probably a 6-7 minute stretch where they probably scored points on 9 out of 10 possessions, and we went cold and we let them back in the game. So, we really have to do a better job of playing basketball for 40 minutes, and then I think we'll be okay, because we've really had lapses in almost every game that we've played up until this point. So we're really close. We're doing a lot of things very well. And I just think we have to click it more together for 40 minutes, and we'll be fine.
Are you seeing progression on either side of the floor?
Yeah, I do. I think we're seeing progression on the defensive end of the floor. There was some things early in the season that we weren't very good at. I think we've gotten better. I think we talked earlier, and I thought there would be some kind of market correction in the amount of points scored on both sides, but I don't think so. I really think that the points are going to continue to go up, both for us and our opponents, just because of the way the games are called. So to compare your numbers necessarily, your scoring numbers to last year and your defensive numbers to last year, I don't think is going to be fair. So I think scoring numbers are going to be up, and I think your defensive metrics are going to be up, and then you just have to adjust your thinking to what the new numbers are going to be. So I think we have made progress. I'd like to see our defensive percentages come down, our defensive points against come down, but I'm not really, even at this point, not sure how much is reasonable to expect the way we play. So, yeah, there's been progress made. I think I'm comfortable where we're at. We've got a good team, and the games we've lost have, they could have gone either way, and we just didn't come out on top.
Keith Dickson joining us, head basketball coach in his 28th season on the Hill. And, of course, the basketball team in action tonight, second part of a women's-men's doubleheader when they will host Stonehill. Coach, you talked about some of the intangibles, protecting the basket, free throw shooting. Is this what you can concentrate on in your off days at practices and improving, or is that just strictly on the players?
Yeah, I think you build your program on defense, rebound, and foul shooting. Okay, so foul shooting is one of those things that, as a coach, you make sure that you get enough repetition. You look at each kid to see if he's got a proper routine. But honestly, after that, it's up to the kids. They're not little babies. They're 18 to 22-year-old, and they've been at the foul line a lot of times. They're either going to make them or they're going to miss them. And out of the 2 out of the 3 games we lost to Felician. We were 19 for 30 from the foul line, and we just lost to Pierce. We were 7 for 14 from the foul line. And I think a lot of times as coaches, you look at, what could you do different? And one thing is staring right at you. If you just did your job at the foul line, you win the basketball game. So,
what's the number for a coach, percentage-wise?
I think 75% is a legitimate figure. If you want to win championship caliber games, meaning high-pressure games, you shoot above that.
Right.
There's some games you go in and you're 24 for 26 from the line. Okay, that means you handled the pressure. You're in big games and you shoot below your percentage, you didn't handle the pressure very well. I think guys that go into those games and shoot 1 for 4 from the foul line or 3 for 6 from the foul line, they have to look at themselves and figure out what the problem is. It's not technique. It's more maybe they got tight or something. So it's a big part of the game that we emphasize, we spend a lot of time on, but honestly, that's one of those things that's between the kid and the kid. It's not much you can do about it.
But between the ears, as they say.
I think so, yeah.
Coach Dickson joining us here on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show, talking men's basketball. Coach, I wanted to ask you this. As a coach, year in, year out, different times of the year, different months, how do you fluctuate and adjust what you're trying to teach in practice year to year? Is there kind of a year-to-year schedule with some things and then immediate needs, of course, creep in? I mean, how does it work from a planning standpoint for a coach?
That's actually a terrific question. I think, through your preseason, you put the foundation of your program in
the offense, et cetera.
Yeah, and then the foundation of your defense, the fundamentals of what you're trying to do on offense. And a program like ours, we tweak things on offense, but we're very consistent in the way we play offense from the beginning to the end. Not a lot of new stuff goes in. And then I would say defensively, it's always a situation where you fix what's going wrong. So, when I started coaching, I realized that the kids are going to do what you emphasize. So what you believe is important, I can make them do. Now, it's impossible to do that every day in practice when you're in the middle of the year. So sometimes you get off track because, say, I haven't been emphasizing defensive rebounding. Maybe we're not doing a lot of blockout drills, so you get away from that. Well, then when you get bad at it, you have to fix it.
Right.
Well, when you fix that, you might become bad at something else. So then you fix that.
Right.
So I'd say your season is a continual fixing of issues on the defensive end of the floor until the kids can feel it and you're playing your best basketball. So some teams, I don't know if it's like a football program where you might put in different packages as you move along the season. We just really, most of the time, put our totals system in before the season starts, and then we just hopefully make sure we're playing our best basketball in what our system is by the end of the season.
Now, you mentioned the offense is seemingly picked up early and it runs smoothly throughout the season. Why is that? Why is it so easy for these kids to master? Is it a combination of the kids you recruit in terms of their basketball IQs? Is it the system itself? What's the key there?
Well, I think right now we're playing offense with our 8-man rotation is 2 sophomores and 6 juniors and seniors. So they've been in the program, and we're not, freshmen are really not involved.
Right,
They're still learning how to play within the system. So I think anytime you have returning players in your system that have been taught the same thing since they were a freshman, well, I hope they're better by the time they're juniors and seniors. If they're not, then they'll sit at the end of the bench, and I'll play the younger kids. So I think you'll find our program is better when we're older. Our offensive style is conducive. These kids are playing offense with a lot of confidence. Plug in Nielsen in now for 30 minutes instead of 15 has made us better on offense because –
Let me stop you right there in terms of John Nielsen. I had a random person off the street the other day, true story, brought up St. A's, talking it up. He said, well, they got a kid now named John Nielsen who's going nuts. And I just had to smile. Continue, please.
Yeah, no, it's – Neil, this is what we thought Neil could do. I said this last week. So, adding him as a full-time player makes your offense better in terms of scoring, because it gives Dino another shot maker. Missing James Morris has probably made us weaker in 2 or 3 areas. We don't offensive rebound from the wing position very well now, and we did when he was here.
Yep.
We don't play make as well because he used to steal it or deflect it or touch it on defense. And he sort of took care of the other kids on defense. So we're a little weaker on defense and probably a little bit better on offense, which I'm not necessarily comfortable with. So we have to continue to try to get better on the other end.
Keith Dickson joining us talking men's basketball. They're in action tonight, of course. And, Coach, what do we know about the opponent coming in tonight at 7:30?
Yeah, Stonehill is they lost. It's a little different of a team from last year. Stonehill 2 years ago, I think, made the quarterfinals in the country. Last year, they had their whole team back and really didn't have a very good season. And this year, they're playing with some newer kids, some sophomores that are now the
next wave of players.
Yeah, the next wave of players. Yeah. So, we're still trying to figure them out too. They're typical in the sense that they're very long. So they're different than some of the other teams. They play a real big 3-man. So they have a kid, Cumstone, who's like 6'6", but really long. They're really long around the basket. And they've always been a little hard for us to score on around the rim. That being said, they've got a new coach. Their coach left and went to Northeastern as an assistant. So we're still trying to figure out exactly what they're trying to do. They're playing a little bit more wide open. They're doing some different things defensively than they've done in the past. And hopefully we'll be able to adjust to the way they play.
You're at home as well. Seemingly play better at home. Stock in that?
Yeah, I don't know about that. Our kids are pretty good on the road now. I think there's a comfort factor in Stoutenburg for sure. We always seem to have a 4, 5, 6 minute stretch where we really play well on offense. And I'd like to think every team is probably a little bit more comfortable at home. And they're a little young, so hopefully they're not as good on the road. So,
right.
This is our last game before finals, and as everybody in this cafeteria knows, it's a very difficult time of year for everybody at Saint Anselm. So we're hoping we can take care of this game tonight. Let the kids concentrate on their finals before we worry about what happens after finals.
Seems like, though, you've always had your guys playing pretty well around finals.
Yeah. We don't play during finals because I think it's too hard. So we normally, the kids get the bulk of their finals out of the way, and then we try to leave them with one game before they go home because then we're off another week. So I think we will have 3 or 4 days of legitimate practice time to prepare for post before they go home for Christmas. So I think what this time of year does, it really just lets us lock in on individual games. Like we're just worried about Stonehill right now. Like, let's take care of Stonehill. After finals, we're just worried about post. And then after that, when the second semester comes, now you're looking ahead to stretches. Where can you get rest or maybe we can put something in. But right now, tonight, we just have to take care of our business against Stonehill.
What's the one area you'll be watching particularly tonight?
Well, they emphasize what we're bad at, to tell you the truth. So they really spend a lot of time trying to get the ball in the painted area. So we'll be dealing with post-ups all night from 4 positions, 2-guard, 3-man, 4-man, 5-man. So we have to do a good job of trying to keep it out of there. Don't let it in there easily. And then when it gets in there, they use that area a lot to make their pass plays from. So we can't get frozen on the weak side because they use the post player to pass on the weak side and create a lot of jump shots that way. So if we do a really good job of pressuring the ball and don't let them see, where take the initiative and we're first on post defense instead of letting them get into us, and then we don't freeze on weak side post play, then I think we'll be okay because it's really the strength of what they do.
Coach, speaking of those bigs, last question. Chris Santos seems like he maybe has turned a corner over the last couple of days, and you've been high on Borelli coming off the bench. We'll speak with Dominic Borelli here in just a moment. But what about the bigs the last couple of games?
Yeah, I thought Chris has finally started to come out of his funk a little bit, and him and Dom were really the 2 players who played well at Franklin Pierce. I thought our other good players, Roy, Mike, Dino, Neil, that didn't give us a very good performance. But Chris and Dom has been great all year. It's as inconsistent as Borelli has been over the first 3 years of his career, he has been that consistent through the first 8 games of his senior year. So, Dom's a funny kid. Just when he starts to do well, you praise him, and then he goes back to being the old Dom. So, I've coached the kid this is my 4th year. I still haven't figured out how to deal with him. So I know he's sitting right here. I probably should just shut up and not say anything about him. But if we could bottle what Borelli's given us through the first 8 games, I'd take it. He's really played terrific.
I think you'll take that as a compliment, for sure.
Yeah, well, you got to worry about that with Borelli, because if you start to compliment him, then he starts to think he's good, and we really don't want that to happen.
All right, Coach. Good luck tonight. Thanks a bunch. It was a pleasure, Nicky, as always.
Thank you, man.
That's Coach Keith Dickson joining us. A pleasant way to start every show here on every Tuesday. It's the Saint Anselm Coaches Show. Heard every Tuesday night, 5:30 to 6:30 on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com. Joining me now, the man of the hour, Dominic Borelli, the senior. One of the enforcers up front as well. Is that fair to say you're an enforcer?
Yeah, I like to think that we bring an edge on defense, the forwards here.
That's your game, right?
Yeah.
Banger, bruiser?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really go on the perimeter much. It's mostly post play and That's what my job is to get hard fouls, box out, set screens. It's do the dirty work around the rim.
You prefer it that way?
Yeah, definitely.
Don Borelli joining us here from Westbrook, Maine. Played basketball your whole life growing up?
All the way growing up, yeah. Played a few sports coming up.
Played football?
Yeah, played football
I
for
figured.
a bit too. Yeah, and then dropped
What
off.
position?
Tight end.
Okay. But you preferred ultimately in the end to go with basketball?
Yeah, in basketball I saw like more of a career going that way than in football.
Yeah. What about what Coach Dickson was saying there? You feel like you're putting together a more consistent senior year this year than in years past?
Definitely. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I've been playing a lot better on offense and a lot better on defense, and I think I'm starting to finally put it together as to what it takes to be a good everyday player.
What's different in terms of your game?
I don't know if I'm doing anything too different. It's just that things are starting to go in my favor a little bit, I'd say. I think I'm still putting in the same amount of work I was before, and I'm still trying to do the same things, but this year it just seems to be clicking more than it has in the past.
You're getting wiser, maybe with the experience? Smarter?
Yeah, I'd say I'm definitely getting smarter. I mean, once you've played in the league for 3 years, you kind of get a feel for everyone. The opponents aren't new to you anymore. You know what certain teams do. You know what their tendencies are and what they look for. So the game slows down for you more the older you get because you're that much more familiar.
What about off the floor? What are you majoring in? What are your interests?
I'm a business major with just a basic business, but focus in finance.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll be doing after this is all over. And that's about
anything specific that you'd like to pursue?
Not really.
In terms of the finance?
Probably investments, but I think that's about the route I'd go for it.
Good stuff. What about in the locker room? You're one of the seniors.
Mm-hmm.
A few seniors on this team. Who are the vocal guys in your mind?
I think all the seniors have a pretty strong voice in the locker room. I mean, Dino, of course, being our single senior captain, he gets most of the light in the locker room. But as a group, the seniors have a very strong voice in the locker room between myself and John and Dino.
Let's play hypothetical for a moment.
All right.
Let's say a brawl broke out, God forbid, on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the one teammate you would like to have your back in that kind of a situation?
Oh, I'm pulling McCahey, definitely.
McCahey?
Yeah, McCahey's always down for a scrap. Always.
The New York player.
New York, yeah.
Good stuff. About a month in, you've been around the block here. How's the team? How you guys doing?
I think we started out slow. I think we thought we were a little better than we were. We thought it was going to be easier than it was going to be because we were good last year, so we thought just automatically we'd be good this year, which didn't happen to be the case. And I think we got a little complacent with our ranking at the beginning of the year, things of that nature. And
you guys learned that lesson quick, I'm sure.
Yeah, we did. And we lost a first tough game, and that kind of opened up our eyes. We played well in the second game, and we played really well the second game, and we kind of fell back into that lull and lost again. And now I think we're realizing that you have to bring it every day, and everyone's coming for you because they know you're a good team, that you have to bring your best game every game in order to continue to win.
Don Borelli joining us, one of the senior big men on the men's basketball team. They're in action tonight against Stonehill. You have a preference in terms of starting, coming off the bench? You started last year, and now your role seems to be the sixth man. That's okay?
I mean, it's fine with me. If you look at the numbers, really, I'm playing about the same amount of minutes.
Right.
They're just coming in a different fashion this year, so it hasn't really been that much of a change. I mean, you're still warm coming off the bench. It's not a big deal.
I kind of liked coming off the bench. Maybe I didn't have another option at the end, but
yeah, I mean,
you get to be that energizer guy in the first half.
And you get to come in and you're going to get a sub, not too much longer after that, so you can bring a lot of energy right away rather than a starter that plays, kind of have to pace yourself a little bit more, and because you're going to play 30-plus minutes a game. But yeah, it's kind of an energy role this year more than last year, and I think I've embraced that role pretty well.
Moving forward, how would you like to see you guys improve?
We need to make teams miss more. We're letting them shoot too high of a percentage, and because of that, we can't get our fast break points. We get a lot of rebound, get it out and go points, transition, and that's one of our strong suits. And when we aren't making teams miss, we don't get that opportunity on offense, which we're very good at taking advantage of. So definitely making teams miss and then controlling those defensive rebounds to get it out and go is definitely going to be huge down the stretch.
All right. Good stuff.
All right.
Before I let you go, give me 3 keys to a victory tonight.
3 keys tonight
against Stonehill. What has to go right?
What has to go right for one is we have to finish around the rim. They're tall, they're long, they're very athletic. They block a lot of shots, so finishing at the rim is going to be huge. And winning the foul shot battle is definitely something we have to win. We have been doing well at the foul line, and that's how you give away games. It's not shooting a high free throw percentage. And then third is the rebounds. We have to control the glass. They don't shoot the ball that well, so there's going to be a lot of misses, and we can't give up second chance points at all against a team like this, because giving up second chance points just gives them life, and we can't do that, especially against a team like this.
Good stuff. And good luck the rest of the way. It's been a pleasure. Nice job. That's Dominic Borelli joining us, the senior, and one of the enforcers up front. Enjoy watching him play. Kind of a throwback in a lot of ways around the rim. All right, coming up in the second half hour, here on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show, we will switch gears and talk women's ice hockey. This team is 10-1, one of the best perhaps of all time. Kerstin Matthews, head coach, will set off the segment, and then senior defenseman Andi Foss and freshman forward Alison Quinn. Next, here on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com. Back here on the Saint Anselm Coaches Show, Part 2 on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com. Heard every Tuesday night from 5:30 to 6:30. I'm Nick Anastos. Special thanks to Keith Dickson, men's basketball coach, for joining us in the first half hour, and also senior forward Dominic Borelli. Good stuff with them. They will take on Stonehill tonight. Second part of a women's-men's doubleheader, which begins at 5:30. This half hour, we preview the women's hockey game. They'll take on Franklin Pierce tonight at Sullivan Arena. That's a 7 o'clock start. Kerstin Matthews is the head coach. We'll hear from her in a moment, and also from senior defenseman Andi Foss and freshman forward Alison Quinn. This team red hot. Not only 2-0 this week, but they've now won 7 in a row, or 10-1, one of their best starts in program history. Quinn was the freshman of the week. She also leads the team in scoring through 11 games with 11 points. Coach, is this one of your best groups to date?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good group. I think it's hard to say that one is necessarily better than the other this early on still. But I do think that this is one of our most talented groups that we've had individually for sure.
What separates this group through, again, only 10 games, but what stands out so far?
Truthfully, I think what separates this group for me right now is the success that we've had with the lack of experience that we have. We're very, very young. We've got 17 sophomore and freshmen, which is very abnormal for us. We're typically a little bit more balanced in terms of upperclassmen to underclassmen, where right now we're very heavily underclassmen.
But they've stepped up.
They've stepped up in a big way, and I think the other side of it is that there's you're still at this point of the season learning your chemistry. You're still trying to find your that group's dynamic, if you will.
Is it starting to clarify for you a little bit?
I think it's clarifying for me. Quite frankly, I don't think it's ever needs to be unclarified for me. I think it's the players that need to feel more comfortable inside that dynamic, and they need to create it. And being that we're so young, I think my expectations were that it would have taken a little bit longer to find it. Where I don't know if we've just found it, or our talent has allowed us to give us the cushion to give us some more time to find it.
Right. Particularly lately, this team has been on fire. Last time we talked, a couple of big games on the schedule. You got wins in both of those, and then after that, a couple more wins, including a 6-3 victory over Williams and a 6-3 victory over Trinity as well. The offense seemingly just coming into their own.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm probably most pleased with is that we really seem to be getting a little bit more patient with the puck. Those younger players seem to be taking that extra second look. Maybe some of the nerves are wearing off some of those younger kids. We're finding our opportunities, and we're taking advantage of our opportunities, not just creating them, we're also finishing on them, which I think is something, again, with a young team that I wasn't necessarily expecting to see first semester, more second semester. So to find it early has been really good for us.
One of those young players, Alison Quinn, as I mentioned, leads the team in scoring, 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points through 11 games. We're going to hear from her in just a moment. And you've had that balance really all year between the young, led by Quinn, Starzyk, etc., and some of the older players, including one sitting over here, Andi Foss, one of the better two-way players you've had over the last several years. Is it every year you expect that kind of balance between upperclassmen and the newcomers, or is this year exceptional, certainly in that regard?
I do. Well, to say I expect it, truthfully, I think there's something called first semester freshmen and second semester freshmen. My expectations for the freshmen will be even higher next semester, to be quite honest. I think what you get from them in the first semester is what I call gravy, because they're adjusting to everything here. School, hockey, the demands of both of them, the learning the systems, adjusting to the different players. We run a very aggressive system, adjusting to that. So for the freshmen to have stepped up the way they have, and we have to have them in our lineup because, as I mentioned, we are so young.
Right.
They had to take on pretty big roles pretty quickly here. So for them to be able to do that, I've been very pleased. And then the balance piece of it for me is I expect the upperclassmen to really mentor those younger kids and help them out, and to some degree bring a little bit more on the ice first semester because, as I mentioned, I do expect the freshmen to be a little inconsistent. I don't want them to be inconsistent, but experience shows me that that's the
They're going to have a bump in the road here or there.
For sure. They're young, and that's to be expected. And especially in our group, where you look at our first and second line center, Alex and Sarah are both sophomores. They're not exactly old either.
Right.
So I've got to give them a little room to be able to have a bad night too here. So for our freshmen to really play the way they have, and the depth that we have right now, I think has been able to help us go through as well as we have for this first semester. And I think our leadership has done a great job of exactly what you just said, keeping us somewhat balanced, reminding us that even though we do have talent, we still got to come to the rink and work hard every night for 60 minutes. We don't get to show up just anywhere and win. I mean, the girls really do have to put in a 60-minute effort, and we're learning. We're still struggling with that a little bit, but we're learning how to get better at that. And that really comes from your leadership, that I expect an Andi Foss to show up for 60 minutes every night, and she knows that.
So it sounds to me like you're expecting them to be veterans on the other side of the January break.
Absolutely. I expect the seniors to be even better, obviously, but I do expect the freshmen now, for lack of a better term, they have a little less rope. Right? They now understand the systems. They now know what's going on. And you also would hope second semester there isn't as, those bumps in the roads you hope have worked themselves out.
Yep.
And they should feel more comfortable with the upperclassmen, and the upperclassmen should have a better relationship with them to sort of help them through whatever they go through. And it isn't that I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do. They definitely have more of an understanding of how this place operates and how I operate.
No bumps in the road so far. Off to a 10-1 start.
Well, we got one bump.
One small bump.
One small bump.
Early in the season. Talking women's hockey with head coach Kerstin Matthews, Andi Foss, the senior, and the freshman Alison Quinn, coming up here in just a few moments. Still, 10-1 is a very good. Is that the best start for you?
For me, it definitely is. Yeah, definitely is. So I'm like I said, it's hard to not be happy.
And I would imagine that kind of enthusiasm kind of feeds itself.
I think it does. I think it does. I think the kids. We honestly don't talk a lot about winning. We talk about doing the small things that actually leads to the wins. But at the end of the day, I know the kids know, but we don't talk and focus as much about winning as we do about our abilities to play well and controlling what we can control. And I think if we do those things well, the wins will come with them.
Right.
So that being said, like I said, it is hard to not enjoy. And I've tried to do a better job this year because we are a younger group of really saying, hey, not for nothing, but we're playing well and we're winning. Let's enjoy it.
Freshman Alison Quinn is the ECAC Player of the Week, Rookie of the Week. That was announced on Monday. A very good couple of games. 4 points in the victory over Trinity, and then also had a pair of goals against the Fs of Williams. We talked about her last week. or whenever it was, 2 weeks ago, talking about some of the explosiveness on offense and how it really reminds you of some of the better players from the past. Is this all unexpected at this point that she's been as productive as she has, or did you again kind of know when you got her aboard that she was going to produce right away?
I to be honest, Alison was one of our top recruits, so I did expect for her to come in and be an impact player. I expected her to play as well as she is. The question was, is she going to find the back of the net quite so quickly? I would say yes. The kid's a goal scorer. That's her job, right? That's sort of her MO as a player. So I don't think anyone can predict exactly what she was going to do. But I put her on the first line. I think she belongs there. I think my expectation was I had her penciled in from the beginning to be in our top 9 because she's a top 9 player for sure.
So what would her expectations be, again, after the break, second half of the freshman year?
Well, to be honest, one of the things with Alison that we worked a lot on is even just stopping on pucks, and it results in an extra point for her this weekend. And she comes to the bench and she says, "Hey, coach, I stopped on that puck." So as well as she's playing, she has more. And so her expectations for the second piece are really to probably become a little bit more of a defensive player, to make sure that she's doing all those little things that allow her to continue to be good, because that believe it or not, it's hard for these kids night in and night out to make sure that they do all of the little things.
What are some of those little things?
Well, for one would be stopping on pucks.
Yeah.
And like
which she accomplished.
Yes, which she accomplished. The other side of it is quite frankly, Alison has this great move that she did in high school that I've watched Alison for 2 or 3 years. She likes to wrap around the net and just poke that puck in. It doesn't work in college hockey. So we've talked a lot about not repeating that move because she tried it the first couple weeks, and it didn't go so well. So, little things like that, little adjustments to her game. Alison and I have talked a lot about her becoming a more efficient player. As you mentioned, she's very, very fast, very quick. We want to make sure we take and we maximize all of her quickness, where before I think at the high school level you can loop around a little bit more. You can kind of get away with some of those things that you can't get away with at this level. And Alison and I have talked a lot, and she's working very hard, which I think is why she's had so much success early on. She's a very real person and understands what she needs to work on.
Very coachable. Very
coachable. And she identifies them and says, these are the things I want to work on. And we're identifying the same things. And she's making the effort every day to get better at them. She's not looking for me for the answers. She recognizes that the work's got to come from herself. And she's really doing a great job, making sure she works on those things every day. And she wants to get better. The kid asks a question almost every day. She wants to be good. And that's probably a big part of her success.
That's unusual.
I don't think it's unusual. I think it's more the fact that you can see the hunger in her eyes, which to some degree is a little unusual in the sense that I think a lot of kids are still nervous when they come in, where I haven't seen any nerves in Alison. I've seen I want to be better. How do I get better? Tell me how to do it, and I'm going to implement it.
Some of that is confidence as well.
I think it's a big part of confidence, and I think she's naturally a very confident person.
Kerstin Matthews joining us, women's hockey coach. They are 10-1. Looking to go 11-1 after a win tonight. They'll host Franklin Pierce, 7 o'clock, Sullivan Arena. We'll hear from the freshman of the week, Alison Quinn, in just a few moments, and also Andi Foss. And I want to talk about Andi Foss, perhaps the best slap shot, fair to say, on the team?
Oh, Andi has. You know what? I'm going to tell you. I do think Tiffany Herron also has equally as good a slap shot. I do. That. I think the difference is Andy's pretty good to tag at least one person a game, so somebody has to limp off because of it. So I do think Andi arguably does have one of our best shots on the team, but I keep challenging her that I think Tiffany's creeping up on her a little bit.
She's a defensive player, but gets involved in the rush a lot as well.
Yeah, Andi by trade, her position is listed as a defenseman. I'm not actually sure she thinks that's her position.
More of like a striker in soccer.
Yeah, but to be honest, that's why I recruited Andi. We have to have a handful of offensive-minded kids. I want our defensemen, with the system we play, I want them involved in the offensive rush. And Andi does her job. I mean, that's my expectation. We typically pair her with someone who's more defensive-minded because I want Andi to be able to have that freedom offensively because she has the skill. She's very creative offensively. She has a nose for the net. And why wouldn't you want a kid that has a nose for the net to go to the net?
Right. I think she's an exciting player to watch.
Absolutely, because she can make or break a game for you all in one shift.
Some good quotes here. Good stuff from Kerstin Matthews talking about her players. One more on Foss, one of the more consistent, I would say, players as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Throughout her 4 years here.
Well, and I tease about Andi because Andi's she's a senior veteran. Andi knows. I could probably tease Andi more than anybody in the room. I mean, Andi really gets it. She understands. She knows her strengths. She knows her weakness. She knows she's a value to us on the ice. Absolutely. I mean, she's hands down one of our best players. Arguably, someone could say she's our best defenseman. I think her and 15, night in and night out, are our best defenseman in very different aspects of the ice. Right? Jackie's a stay-at-home defenseman. Andi's an offensive defenseman, and she does a great job when she comes to the rink. In terms of mentoring the kids on the ice, she really is an all-around player inside the locker room and outside the locker room, which is what you're looking for out of your seniors.
Let's talk a little bit about the next few weeks. You got the break coming up. Traditionally, what does that mean to your team?
To be honest, I think it's a much-needed break. The academics here right now, I think, are killing our kids a little bit, which is why we're here. So they're working pretty hard academically. We'll probably give them, they've got open ice that they can take advantage of. We'll send them home with a little bit of a workout just to stay in shape. But truthfully, I'm looking for them to get a little bit of a mental break here. They've worked really hard this first semester. I want them to come back fresh and wanting to play. There's nothing worse than if your athletes dread coming back.
How much time do they actually get off away from the rink?
Away from the rink, well, technically as of Thursday, they're done. So away from the rink, they're probably going to get, we don't come back till January 1st, so they'll probably get almost 3 weeks off.
But I mean, without practice?
Practice is optional.
Really?
You'd be surprised how many of them show up, but practice is optional. I have to make it optional during finals week.
Was not aware of that.
And if that, to me, that's the best way to treat your athletes, because how can you ask them to be great students, great hockey players? Right. You can't go 365 days of the year all the time.
But as you say, most of them are there.
Well, they're great students, so I've got to give them the respect to make sure that while they're doing their finals, if they want to take an hour break, they come down, jump on the bikes, get on the ice. And they want to do that because they love the game. If they didn't love the game, they wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. Tonight's game, Franklin Pierce, 7 o'clock, Sullivan Arena. What needs to happen for the W?
We need to play 60 minutes. We need to be ready to go. This team is actually, they've come out of the gate pretty strong as well. I think they're 7-1. And they're a very different team than we are, but they're still a good team. They've got good goaltending. They're probably going to box out a lot in front of their net. So we need to make sure that we bring some of that offensive creativity that we've been having some success with the last 2 weeks. And realistically, we need to play from the back to the front, 60 minutes. Everybody has to show up and play.
Right.
The quote I use to the girls, you can never expect us to show up and win a game. And I think they're learning that.
Coach, good luck tonight.
Thank you very much. Have a happy holidays.
You too. Fun 15 minutes as always with Kerstin Matthews, head coach. We're going to bring up Andi Foss next. And by the way, Coach, I forgot. Congratulations, of course, on number 100, which came the other night in the victory over Williams. Andi Foss joining us, the senior defenseman, one of the better defenseman on the team, according to Coach, and according to me as well. I've seen you play a number of times. What do you like most about hockey? Let's start there.
I think I just love being on the ice and being part of a team. Our team dynamic is awesome. We all get along, and just being able to go out and play with your friends and just be able to, I mean, I love scoring too, so that's always fun, but just being able to be on the ice, just doing what I love. So
when'd you start playing? When'd you fall in love?
I started playing when I was 4. At first, I hated it because we had like 5 a.m. practices. And
at 4 years old?
Yeah. We're a little crazy in Minnesota. A little bit.
Wow.
But no, I hated it at first. My mom was like, no, stick with it. And then probably by age 7, I was on my first actual team. And I just started playing goalie, but wasn't a big fan of that. And then I love skating out and love scoring and just being on the ice.
What about goalie? Just too much standing around?
Yeah, and I just like scoring, so that was kind of an issue.
You come from a hockey family?
Not really. My uncle played, but my mom really wanted to play, but was never able to because I didn't have it. So that's kind of how I got started. She wished she could have played, so she had me try it, and I just loved it. So
good stuff. Andi Foss joining us. What about your game? It seems like you like to get involved in transition, get involved on the offensive attack. You said you like to score, but at the same time, you're a defenseman.
I think with D, you just can control more. I just feel like back there, especially on how Coach has our systems, we're almost like a quarterback. So, like, I know we direct people back there, and you just kind of see everything that's going on the ice. So I like that part. And realistically, when we are in the offensive zone, yeah, we're D, but with how our systems are run, we're more like a fourth attack, so we are involved in the offense. So
I asked you before we got on the air what you wanted to talk about, and you said, I want to talk about Coach.
yes.
What about Coach?
Well, she got her 100th win, so she deserves it. She is one of the best coaches I've had.
Was that a big deal for you guys to get her number 100?
Yeah, I think it's a huge deal, especially just how much she works and how much effort she puts into it. And she really does care about us. So to be able to give her something back was important to all of us because she really does deserve it.
She said you're one of the comedians on the team with some thick skin. Is this accurate as well?
Yeah, I can handle a lot of stuff. So
any locker room pranks over the years that we can say on the air?
I have not been pranked, but other people have gotten pranked in our locker room.
And you've had nothing to do with it.
I actually haven't had anything to do with it.
Matter of factly. Andi Foss joining us, one of the senior defensemen on the women's hockey team. They're in action tonight, 7 o'clock, over at Sullivan Arena against Franklin Pierce. It's your senior year. Is this year different for you at all? It's your last go-around. Is it a little nostalgic at this point? You take it one day at a time? What's it been like here in year number 4?
I think I'm just taking it one day at a time, enjoying it. It's in high school for my senior year, we had a lot of freshmen, so I'm kind of used to that. So I actually kind of like that. Like I think our freshmen have really stepped up and done a really good job, and they just bring a whole different type of energy into the locker room. So, but yeah, I'm just taking it day by day, just trying to enjoy it and take everything out of it that I can.
Where do you expect to be a year from now?
Either coaching somewhere or I've applied for a post-grad internship with the NCAA.
Really?
Yeah.
Coaching?
Yeah.
What inspired that? Just the love of the game? Or?
Yeah, and I just, over the past 4 years, have kind of realized that I'm not quite ready to leave sports, and I don't know if I'm ever going to be. So, and I've done some coaching with my little sisters in the past, and I really enjoy it. So I just don't really want to.
That's the beauty of it. You get too old to play, you can at least coach, or in my case, get paid to watch it. So
hopefully.
One final question for you, other than the obvious, which would be a conference championship at the end of the season. What would you like to see happen? It's something I like watching or asking of the seniors.
I just want to make sure that we come out for 60 minutes and are consistent for the rest of the year, because as long as we come out and play our game, I think we're going to be successful and get to where we want to be. So that's the one thing I want to take away is I want to have no regrets and to be able to play consistently and well the rest of the season.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Andi Foss, the pleasure
was
mine. That's Andi Foss, the senior defenseman, one of the best two-way players in the program. We're going to talk to the leading scorer. That's Alison Quinn, the freshman from Canton, Mass. Has made an immediate impact and has earned herself the ECAC Rookie of the Week award. What does that award mean?
Well, it's great because it's like a lot of hard work, and there's so many freshmen on our team alone and in the league. So it's just nice that there is recognition of rookies in the league, not just me. I mean, there's Starzik had Rookie of the Week as well 1 week. So it's just nice that there's something that recognizes rookies in this league, since it's a really hard league. So it's just nice. It's nice to get it. So
11 points in 11 games, a terrific start.
Thank you.
Best on the squad. Are you surprising yourself, or is it going to plan at this point?
A little. I mean, I like to score, obviously. I had a meeting with Coach, and she was like, "What's your goals?" And I was like, "I want to lead the team in scoring." So, I mean, I'm succeeding it now, but this season there's so many games left. It's nice to be at the top, even if at the end of the game today, people go over. It's nice to see that as a team we're succeeding and we're winning, and it's just, I like being at the top, but that can change in a second, and I know that, and I like that. I like that our team's so competitive, and our team has so many power forwards, so it's nice that it's always a competition.
Yeah. You get better quickly that way as well.
Yeah.
Alison Quinn joining us, a freshman who has taken the locker room and the ice by storm. What about what Andi Foss just said? How she started at 4 years old Was it that early for you?
I loved skating. I would cry when my dad made me get off. So I always played. I really started when I was younger. I was playing older my whole life, where I played boys metro. I always played a level up. And I always loved it. Like the 5 a.m. wake ups when I was a mite, I loved it. I would play. My sister didn't. My sister would not want to get up, and I would. And it was fun. I've always liked it, and it's just. Yeah, I've never had a problem with hockey. I've always enjoyed it. So it started early and still going. So
were you encouraged, like in Andy's case, by mom or dad or older brothers, or how'd you kind of stumble onto hockey in the first place?
Well, actually, it's kind of an embarrassing story, but I'll tell it. So I was younger, and I had a crush on a boy who played hockey, and I wanted to play to have a common denominator. And that's where it started.
Interesting.
Yep. So that's that. I mean, the encouragement. My dad comes to everything. He's come to every single game. Pennsylvania, Williams, he's there always, and he encourages. But where I got the desire was the original crush of a boy. So I should thank him. But
right. So then you continued to play, and ultimately you end up here at St. Anselm's coaching for. Playing for Coach Matthews. Yes. How did that come about?
Well, I've always seen it. I was on a team in 8th grade, and Katie Piccarello, I'm sure, she was a senior. We both went to Southfield together, and I saw Kerstin around the rinks and before, and I was like, oh, St. A's. I never really heard of it, but I knew Katie Pick went there, and I emailed her and was like, hey, and it just worked out, and I'm so thankful because and I know Andi just said this, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but she really is the best coach on and off the ice. She's there, and she coaches well. I mean, we have systems and everything. In high school, we didn't necessarily have systems, so that was new, but it's great, and I am so thankful that it worked out. This was my top choice, and it worked out, so I couldn't be more thankful of the position that I fell into.
You liking college life, I'm sure, as well?
Yeah, it's
so
fun.
Far?
Yeah, it's busy. I'm not really, I'm home a lot on the weekends just because I'm so family based, and I feel like there's always some family party or something going on, but I have a really good group of friends. They just happen to be the hockey players, but it's just college life is going great. I have no complaints so far, which is great, I guess.
A couple minutes here with Alison Quinn, the ECAC Freshman Rookie of the Week. She's also the leading scorer on the women's hockey team. They host Franklin Pierce tonight, 7 o'clock at Sullivan Arena. Coach said after the intercession, there's a different set of expectations for the freshmen. I'm sure you'll be able to handle it, correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I like the freshmen, knowing that if I make a mistake, I'm like, oh, freshman, I can pull that card. But, after break, I know I can't pull that card anymore. I didn't know that until that, so that's it's a little eye-opening. But no, I mean, I like that she's going to be on us, and she already is. I mean, she never lets the freshmen get away with anything, and so I like that there's going to be more weight on my shoulders, but there really already is. So, I mean, I hope that we continue to play well, but, I mean, freshman-wise, if she wants to put more pressure on us, that's great, because I know as a whole all the freshmen can handle it.
Final question. Would you rather have a conference title or a Rookie of the Year award?
Oh, boy. Well, selfishly, I would like Rookie of the Year, obviously, but as team-wise, and I would obviously love to win at the end, the conference, but, I mean, ideally, the Rookie of the Year would be nice, but I don't know. That's just, I guess that's kind of a really stretch since there's so many freshmen. But, yeah, I mean, whatever. If we get both, that's great.
Oh, there you go.
One or the other is great, too, but, yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure so far.
Thank you.
Keep up the hard work.
Thank you.
And good luck tonight as well.
Thank you.
That is our Freshman of the Week in the ECAC Conference, Alison Quinn, joining us on the St. Anselm Coaches Show. It is brought to you by St. Anselm College, which features 20 NCAA Division II programs, most of which compete in the highly competitive Northeast 10 Conference. With over 100 home events this season, there are plenty of chances to catch the Hawks in action. If you can't make it to the game, log on to SaintAnselmHawks.com and follow along with free live stats of every home contest, or better yet, be sure to check out SaintAnselmHawks.tv for live video broadcasts of every football, basketball, and hockey game, as well as other select events throughout the season. Time for a quick recap of the week that was. We'll also preview the week ahead. Men's basketball 1-1 last week, 99-90 win at home over St. Michael's on Wednesday, and then a tough loss at Franklin Pierce, 77-73 on Saturday. Mike McKay had a pretty good week, averaged nearly 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals, while senior John Nielsen also chipped in with 18 and 8 in one of those games. Chris Santo coming alive as well, averaging 14 and 6 over the 2 games. But the star, again, sophomore Mike McKay, as I mentioned, averaging 17 points. Junior Roy Mabry also chipped in with 13 and 5 on the road and became the 45th Hawk in program history to reach the 1,000-point plateau. He'll be honored tonight, by the way, as St. A's plays host to Stonehill. Women's basketball, they'll be on the floor at 5:30 also against Stonehill, 1-1 on the week after a 79-66 win against St. Mike's, and then they also fell on the road at Franklin Pierce, 72-69. Senior Brianna Jones averaged nearly 17 points and 5 boards, shot 45% from the field and over 81% at the line. Had a game-high 20 points against the Purple Knights. Classmate Tori Lair, one of the more consistent players. Senior averaged a double-double, 16 points, 13 rebounds. Her 5th double-double, by the way, of the season. That is a conference high. Meg Morrissey, 13 points, 6 assists. Freshman Candace Andrews won Rookie of the Week in the Northeast 10. Led the way against Franklin Pierce at 20 points on 7 of 18 shooting and 6 of 7 from the line. Men's hockey wrapped up the 2013 calendar portion of the schedule in impressive fashion. They head into the winter break, sitting on a 3-game win streak after a couple of victories over the past week. St. Anselm shut out Assumption 5-0 Wednesday. Got a 4-1 victory over New England College on Friday. The win over Assumption, senior Kevin Vanos recorded 3 assists, while junior Sean Jenkins added a goal and an assist. Facing off with the Pilgrims, freshman Nick Leonard and sophomore Tyler Esty each scored 5 goals, or the first goals, rather, of their careers, and sophomore Brian Sullivan added 3 assists for a total of 5 on the week. Sullivan earned the Northeast 10 and ECAC East Player of the Week honors. Women's hockey, 2-0 on the week. They took down Trinity 6-3, rallied to win it 6-3 over Williams the following day. And, of course, head coach Kerstin Matthews captured her 100th career victory. Special thanks to Eric Copeland, our producer, for getting the job done as usual. Tom Rowe, our engineer, back at the ESPN New Hampshire studios. My name is Nick Anastos, saying so long. We'll talk again next Tuesday. This has been the Saint Anselm Coaches Show right here on ESPN New Hampshire and ESPNNewHampshire.com.